I'm it's TEMPHUiBIS here, and this is a video response here to AgEntertainment's video, why a game's so important to me. Well, to him in this case, yeah, but in that video he was talking about what his gaming experience was like, yeah, from the very beginning, and asking and saying why it was important to him and stuff. So I decided to come onto that little situation as well. I'm going to say why it's important to me and how it all started, yeah. When I was a young kid, I think about 3-4 years old, I was a hyper kid who would just play with anything that I'd see, watch this being played, see this being played and shit like that, and I'll just play with almost anything, you know. And I was always in a hyper mood, always wanted to play with something. I remember my mum and daddy, I had a few action figures in my house, you know, most He-Man ones, because I was into He-Man, and loads of I had a few dolls and everything here and there, all the funky stuff. Then one day I just walked into I just saw my brother, I saw an Atari 2600 for the first time, hooked up to a TV, and my brother was playing it. The feeling that I got, yeah, watching that, it was like a stun feeling. You know, it was hard to even go back to playing with these dolls and what's it called, the action figures, while after watching my brother playing that. It was more like, you know what, I want to play that. I want to play the Atari. And unfortunately I was too young to play it. Then later on I saw my brother playing the Commodore 64, and I so badly wanted to play that. I saw all my brother's games, I saw all the cartridges, saw all the cassette tape games and stuff, and I was like looking at them. But like I said already, I was too young to play. And then one time I remembered that how long, you know, Commodore 64, yeah, the cassette games used to take long to load. I just remember sitting there watching the loading screen that used to do all these flashy different colours and stuff, and it's like I just remember sitting down always knowing there's going to be a good game after, wait for it. There was even a time when my brother went to the shop, yeah, bought some fish and chips or something, yeah, and came in, started the game, started the loading on the game, and then ate his fish and chips. When he finished it, then the game started. That's how long the game used to load. He used to do stuff like that. What the hell are you doing? That's my cat. Yeah, and those were funny days. Well, when I used to sort of watch him play games, he used to play all these different games. I used to want to play these different games and everything. That's it, you know, because they just all look fun. But then I watched my brother play the following games on the Commodore. He played Ye Are Kung Fu, he played The Way of the Exploding Fist, and he played International Karate Plus, which had the sort of same gameplay. I think that game came out first, and then it was The Way of the Exploding Fist. But anyway, yeah. And he used to play Kung Fu Master. When I used to watch him play those games, yeah, that is when my blood started boiling. You know, it was like, I mean, is it, after watching him play those games, right, yeah, is it that much of a surprise, yeah, that I'm such a big beat-em-up game fan now, and that I'm a big UFC fan, I'm a big fighting fanatic, that I love it. I love watching fighting. I'm obsessed with watching fighting films, fighting shows, this and that. Is it that surprising? That's how much I just remembered always watching these. My brother used to play him Ye Are Kung Fu. He used to get his ass mashed, but then I remember watching him get better and better and better, and then he used to just go through everything. And it's like, man, I wanted to play these games. Now, you know what the funky thing was? I used to remember, not only did I used to just love the games, like watching the gameplay, what you've seen all the games and everything like that, yeah. Back in those days, I used to also just love the front covers. Some of the front covers here would have some nice, good, different art designs, and because I was young, I used to think right, there might be an animation of these type of things happening. Like, here's this for an example. Here's a game called Millipede on the Atari 2600, and I used to look at this big monster and think, right man, this big monster is hard to kill or something like that, yeah? Then there was also Centipede, and I used to think, right, this is a big monster as well. And because of looking at these two front covers, I used to think, right, these two characters are going to face each other versus, you know, that is what I used to think. I used to think, yeah, that all these art pictures, yeah, were actually screenshots of animations or something that we're going to see. And I just remembered sitting down waiting for a time where this show's going to come on, where the Millipede fights the Centipede. It never happened. You know, later on you grow up and you realise it was just pictures that was just drawn for the games. And but the fact it had that effect on me, man, just a game front cover was even giving me that effect. I used to love it so much. Finally, I was about the age, yeah, to play the Atari and the Commodore. Guess what? Both mashed up. Okay, not the consoles mashed up, yeah. The adapters for the consoles mashed up. That how sad was that? So therefore, I had the Atari. I had the Atari, but I couldn't even play it. But I was so into it so much. There was all the cartridges. My brother had all the cartridges. He had about 13, 15 games at the time. Now we've got like, god damn it. But anyway, I used to just take those cartridges, right, yeah, especially because of the front covers, and I used to treat them like dolls, and I couldn't believe it. I actually made some next story things and that made them speak to each other like that. You even saw Angry Video Game Nerd do the same type of thing here on one of his old videos, because that's what you used to do when you was young. But I just remember, yeah, for like games like Pac-Man, for all these little soft Pac-Man type games, yeah, I would use the voice, yeah, I used to use these type of voice and stuff like that. And when it was like a game like Millipede, yeah, or something that had something really big on the front cover, yeah, something that looks serious, yeah, I'll just hear this like big monster, very fakish monster type voice, you know, like that type of thing. You know, I used to make all these different voices up for just the cartridges. the memories, boy, the memories. So yeah, man, that's the effect that the games used to have. Later on, I remember my dad, yeah, coming home, yeah, with a new adapter for the Atari. You know, the best thing about the Atari back then is you could use any adapter. You know, when your let's say your Xbox 360 adapter breaks, you have to get an Xbox 360 adapter, nothing else. With the Atari, you can get any adapter. You can get any random adapter from Argos or anything like that. Yeah, okay. Well, for America, the Walmart or whatever places are. Okay, I'm saying Argos, yeah, because that's my local place. But any of your local places, yeah, that does electrics. That's what I'm saying. Now, let's go to during the school days now, where we used to talk about the games and stuff. Most people used to talk about the ultimate two consoles all the time, two console companies all the time. Sega versus Nintendo. You know, the funky thing right here is around my times, probably around my areas, yeah, not many people argued too much about Sega versus Nintendo. There was a few debates here and there, but it's hard for people to debate, yeah, when most people had the following things. They either had the Mega Drive, sorry, the Master System first, and the next console was the Super NES. You know, but then there was also some people who had the Nintendo, the NES, and then their next console was the Mega Drive, and that was me. I was one of them. You know, how can you even begin to try and say that Sega is better than Nintendo fully when you had the Nintendo at one point and vice versa? You know, so there wasn't as much debates back those days, yeah, that when there is now. You know what I mean? But there was a few. But there were debates with games. People used to say, yeah, that Street Fighter was better than Mortal Kombat and certain things like that, yeah. Now, my personal opinion, when I first saw Street Fighter, I loved the game. It was bringing out more of that beat 'em up thing that I used to love, right, yeah. But then Mortal Kombat, when I played that after, I enjoyed it more because I am that violent fanatic. I'm that type of person, yeah, that there could be a picture, a lovely, beautiful picture of two martial artists fighting each other. It looked like a good picture, but then there's a picture of two guys just fighting and punching each other until they're black and bruised and bleeding all over the place and everything. That I would love that type of picture more, you know. I mean, if people knew my DeviantArt account and looked at my favourites, they'll know what I'm talking about. So that's what I'm saying. I suppose those things, yeah, I'm just really into. So I was into Mortal Kombat quite a lot. So there was a bit of debates there. The one thing though, I always wondered about games though, back in those little days, in the Master System NES days, was why were why were games, how can I explain it? Alright, let me go back here again, yeah, just to explain. Some of the games, yeah, that my brother bought for the Commodore 64, do you know what they were like? You have the case for the Commodore 64 game in your hand, yeah? You'll open it, you'll see a cassette that is the Commodore 64 game. Do you know what you would see underneath it? You would see a cassette of the same game for the Spectrum. That's another console. You know, you'd buy a game for a console and it comes with a game for another console. So even if you had the Spectrum or the Commodore, you would have the games for both of them. You know, how wicked was that? This and also, and I even remember looking at a picture or something, yeah. I was looking at something to do with the ColecoVision. There was an Atari converter, so you could play the Atari 2600 games on the ColecoVision. I'm like, that's how all these consoles, all the, you know, used to be together. Used to you know, it was just like you know, I just thought it's a big, nice, great gaming community that everyone was all together. I was thinking, why wasn't this aspect here with the Sega and Nintendo? This is, I feel that is the start right there, yeah, where it's like games are now all about competition instead of being about fun. That's the time where I started to notice that was happening. But that was it though. That was it about games. You know, oh man, in primary school I just remember chatting about games all the time. When one of my friends, yeah, who told me about Double Dragon, and when my brother bought the NES and bought Double Dragon, it's like my friend fired me up for it, man. You know, and I still say today, rest in peace to him, because he was such a legend, and you know, legend for hyping me up for Double Dragon, and that's why my last remix was in memory of him. But also I used to be into the game so much that I used to talk about it in school so many times. I used to write about it in school so many times. Some of the teachers were now getting a bit concerned. Like, I was getting in trouble at most points. They would always say that there's an art day. I'm pretty sure in primary school, around your really young childhoods, yeah, there would have been time, yeah, where a teacher would say to you, all right, art time now, draw something here for everyone to say. I would always draw a front cover for an Atari game that I saw, or I always would draw the console itself. I even one time drew the Atari sign. I just would always draw something to do with games, and it was getting a bit concerned that they didn't want me to. They wanted to get the gaming out of my head, but it just didn't work. It was funny though, man, because I remember one time I was in trouble, and I was in the head teacher's office, and she just gave me a paper while I was just sitting on the floor. You know, that was my punishment. She just gave me a paper and said, you just draw whatever, and I just drew Atari games. You know, and it just felt like I was in more trouble just for that. It was funny, man. When I was young, I was a type of guy who couldn't accept losing. I used to cheat in games so many times. And so many things though I did was so stupid. Like, I would look up a cheat for a game which would disable something on the player 2, and then I would just do that cheat without him knowing and beat him, yeah, and he doesn't even know what's happened. I used to just do so much stupidness. Or I would purposely use a controller that has turbo buttons on it and pretend like, oh, I'm just beating the guy whatsoever. If it was a boy who didn't even know how to play games, I'll just show off, yeah, beating somebody who don't even know how to play games. I used to be that way during those times as well, and I used to show off being the best at games when I just wasn't, man. I just you know, when you grow up and you sort of mature later on, yeah, you know what games are really about. It's about having fun, enjoying yourself, not to just win all the time stuff. I mean, what really helped me learn that was Tekken. I mean, people have seen that video already where I spoke about Tekken in detail, what it meant to me. But this is what games overall sort of mean to me. What also does games mean to me? Simple. It's a massive inspiration to my music and to my animation. Let's go back again to when my brother was playing the Commodore. Hearing all those musics, especially for the loading times, I was loving these songs more than I was liking music that I was seeing on TV. I was loving those music, you know. It's like, once again, is it a surprise that I'm making music with a Commodore here? And with the equipment and the type of music that I'm making, isn't it a surprise? Is that a surprise that I'm music? That's the music I'm making. It's not, is it? But so those are just the sort of things. Then animation as well. Most of these beat 'em up games gives me the inspiration to make fighting animations, and also some of the characters that I see in games as well give me inspirations for doing things that help me get better with what I like to do. You know, I'm a very, very big anthropomorphism fan, and there's a load of anthro characters that's given me so much inspiration. I think the starters was Brutal Paws of Fury on the Mega Drive. That is just where my imagination was just starting to come. That is just when ideas were coming and everything. That, yeah, I've written down ideas for games many times. I think sooner or later I really definitely would like to put one into consideration. But that's why it's important to me, man. I think games do give people a good artistic life in a way. It gives people artistic thoughts and stuff. You know, it's just enjoyable things, and you know, it was a good topic here that AgEntertainment brought up. So thanks very much for that, man. And I can't wait to see your other parts to your video. But that's all I got to say, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I'm not sure what my next video is going to be about, but oh, actually, I do know what my next video is going to be about. It's going to be my UFC 126 predictions, because I've got to do predictions on this one. This one is an important event, very important. But that's all I've got to say, guys. Thanks very much, and I'll see you all later. Love for you all.